Guys, we're back working on the 2004 Concours, Kawasaki Concours 1000. What we're going to do today is we're going to take a look at the throttle cables, the push and the pull. We're probably going to be replacing them. I do have new ones. I think the pull cable is broken. So we're going to take that apart and kind of look at it. It looks like the adjuster screw on it is broken. We're going to verify that. If it's not broken, we may just lube the cables and go with that, but probably going to just go ahead and replace them. What I want to say before we get started is check out the other videos on this bike. We've done a lot of work on it so far. We've done complete maintenance pretty much throughout the whole book of what the maintenance items are on the book. So we've done pretty much everything, I believe. We put new tires on it, new brakes, or brake hoses in the front, drained and flushed the brake and the clutch. We rebuilt the clutch slave cylinder and done a lot of other work on the bike, lubed the stem bearing, and yeah, we've done a lot on this bike and it's going well. The last thing I wanted to do is do these cables before we get ready to put all the fairing back on it. I did clean up some of the fairing and it's cleaned up really well. I'm really happy with it. This bike will look, it'll look new. It's not going to look like a 2004. So let's jump into the cable. All right, I got the little throttle lock piece off. I took the two screws out of the back of the cable housing here. The longer one goes on the bottom, so just in case you get it mixed up. So the longer screw goes on the bottom. So now we're going to take this apart and we're going to take a look at the cables inside. I'm going to need two hands. I'm going to put the... All right, so I got the back side of the cover off and just wanted to show you how the cables went. Here's the pull cable and the push cable. So the pull cable is what we have issues with. Let me see if I can pop this off here. See if I can get it out. Oh yeah, there we go. You can see right here that somebody has broken the plastic piece. It's kind of bad. It's kind of a poor design with it being plastic, but they broke that off, so you can't adjust the cable anymore. It doesn't do anything. So that's why we're going to replace it. And I know how they did it. They did it putting that cruise control piece on. The way that thing sat up here on the handlebar, they tried to wedge that in, I'm sure, and snapped it. You can see where, I'm not sure if this is machined by the factory or if they somebody shaved that down a little bit to get that throttle lock on there. So, all right, so we got that out of the way. We're gonna just leave this part of the housing just kind of hanging, and you can see that underneath the grip is perfectly dry too. You should always grease that a little bit. It helps things slide, and you can see the pull piece goes on the top part of the grip. So we're gonna go ahead and disconnect that too. We're just gonna take this grip off because it's gonna be falling off every 5 minutes, and get that out of the way. I am missing the handlebar weight here on the end. I have some weights that I bought for another project and didn't use, so I'm going to see if those will fit on it, but I think they're too big. So, get this part of the cable out. What I'm going to do is, it's a cold morning here, so I am going to heat these boots up. They're still pretty soft. These boots surprise me that they're pretty soft. We're going to take this bolt out on the back part of the air box. We're going to roll the springs back like we did before, and heat these up, and of course take the screws out of the front of the carb and heat all that up and get ready to pull this carb off. I know there's going to be some gas in the float bowls. I tried to run it completely out, but it always holds gas in the float bowls when on these. So we're going to pull the carbs out, get them out of the way, and then lube all these cables up. Well, actually, I'm going to lube the new cables before I ever put them in. So I'm going to do that now and get them ready to go in. And yeah, that's what we're going to do first. All right, guys. So I took all the screws, loosened the screws here, rolled all the little springs back off the boots. I heated the boots up a little bit. These are pretty soft, so I try to slide the air box the whole 1/4 of an inch back it goes. And then you just kind of have to grab a hold and muscle a little bit and get it to come out. I did forget to disconnect this one breather here. Let me grab that and yank that off. I can't remember if I took it off last time here or up here, whichever one was easiest to get off. I think it was down here. So got that off now. All right, so now we can slide this all the way out, or at least out enough to get those cables off. I'm not sure if I'm going to take it all the way out or not, but we're going to at least slide it out enough. All right, you can see a little bit over on this side, a little bit easier, how the cables all connect right here. I believe that one is the pull cable. Oh, maybe it's push cable. Can't see which way these. Now that's definitely the pull cable here. I think I put a piece of blue tape around the pull cable just to remember where it went last time. And so we'll try to get this out enough. We could probably just pull it all the way out because these cables are coming out anyhow. But I want to kind of remember the routing of these cables. So we're just going to pull them loose a little bit, get them out here some where we can get this carb out a little bit more and get these cables off a little easier. Okay, guys, what I did was I went ahead and pulled the pull cable out and fed the new one through, and I fed it down from the top. Goes around. There's a little clip here that it goes through. Then it goes between the coil. So I did have to loosen the coil up and kind of slide this front part of the coil out so it can get through. I put just a tiny bit of grease on the bottom of this pull cable, and we're going to try to see if we can work it in here into the connector for it. It's kind of a tight fit to get it in there, and it's very difficult. So what I did was you can reach your finger through and rotate the pull cable up, and then there's a little hook down there that it goes through and feed it in that way. So that's what I'm going to try to do to feed it back in. That's how I took it out. So let's see if we can make it work. All right, so I've got the pull cable in. That was actually pretty easy. What I did, I'll show you on this old cable that I'm getting ready to pull out of the push cable. I just put a little bend in the end of it. Just bend it down like that just a little bit with a pair of pliers, just so it would hold that shape of having a little bend in it. Pushed up on the bottom of the carb piece where it hooked in, and it just actually dropped right in. So disconnected the cable here, and I'm going to pull the other cable back down, and we'll get this side hooked up. And make sure you tighten your nut down here just a little bit, just to hold it in there, because you can do your adjustment by screwing this part of it up and down if you need to do some adjustments down here. Let me get the pull cable fed through, and then we'll get it hooked back up, get ready to put this back in. All right, guys, so now I've got the cables hooked up. I'm going to push the carbs back in and try to do this quick because I already heated these up. So we're going to try to slide the carbs back in and get them back, get the front part in here first, then work the back part in. We'll have to use some picks to go in there and get all the little parts of the boot back on. So let me get this done quick while they're. All right, guys, I hope you can tell. I've got the carb in. It's all the way up in the front. I haven't tightened these down yet. As you can see, the rear boots are kind of not really on there. you have to get a pick, something like this. That's pretty long because the middle ones are the hard ones. And get this pick, kind of work it underneath of it very carefully that you don't tear your boots. And just work it back and forth like this to get it on the carb. And you got to make sure you get it all the way on there because you don't want any air leaks on this. So you got to work it around and just take your time. And like I said, take your time, and you don't want to rip this boot. So be very careful with your pick if it's got a sharp point on it. This one I have is pretty dull on the end, so it works perfect. I have a couple other that are different shapes, so you just have to work at it and what works for you to get these back on. So once you get them on, then you have to get the spring right here, work the spring on the same way. And you want to make sure that you get the spring seated down in the little area right here, the recessed area where the spring sits. All right, so I'm going to work on that. It's going to take some time. Just be patient with it. All right, got the carb back in, got all the springs back on, got the carbs tightened up on the intake boots. So now we're going to get ready to hook up the cables and hook up the everything up at the top here on the handlebars. So get ready to do that now. All right, so I went ahead and greased the handlebar here with my favorite kind of grease. And now I'm going to put the throttle cables in. I got them hooked up here, and we just got to put them into the housing, and then we'll be ready to close all this up and put the rear part of the handle on and get ready to finish this thing. All right, guys, so I got the throttle cables back in place, but I discovered a problem when I was putting this back on. If you can see right here, there's a little notch, a little hole, little tiny hole in the handlebars there. And that's where this piece is supposed to lock into it. And right here, there's supposed to be a little nub that goes into that piece and locks the whole assembly in place so it doesn't rotate. And that's gone. Somebody's ground it off. Now, I don't know if they ground it off because of that throttle lock that they were using. That's what I'm assuming they did. But we've got to get something to lock that back down. All right, guys, so I got the throttle cables back together. Work a lot better than they did. Here's what I had to do to the back. I just put a screw through to hit the hole, and then just use this little nut to just tighten it down, and that did the trick. It's not moving. And once I tightened everything down, locked in solid, so we're good to go. Got the new cables on and got them adjusted where it's pretty good. With this throttle lock on here, it kind of slows the throttle down some. It does return, but it does slow it down a little bit. So I think we're good to go here on the cables. So I think we're done with that part of the bike. It was kind of a pain because of the whole issue with the throttle up here, that piece that somebody had cut the nipple off. But we got it all done and had to pull the carbs. The carbs are all back on and everything. Just make sure you get these little spring clips up there and put your screws back in your air box and get these tight. So it's not a real hard job. It takes a little bit of time just because you have to move the carburetor. So you do the same thing if you were going to lube your cables. Well, you wouldn't even really have to take them off down here. You could just take it off at the top and push the lube down through until it comes out down here. You'll see it drip out down here at the bottom. So I think that's it. Hope you like this one. Hope it helped. Um, Please like, subscribe. I'll have more videos to come. And at the end, I'll have a price of what I've paid so far on this bike. This is just a way you can cheaply get a nice bike that will be a nice cruiser and get into motorcycling for not a lot of money. So thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, and ride safe.